Well, hi, and welcome to my channel. And I'm Lynn Flowers, and this is uh, Diary of a Cosmic Wayshower. And I have the lovely Laura Eisenhower here as a guest today, my first guest. Woohoo! And I'm so pleased and grateful that you are here to chat with me today. And I'm just going to quickly say that Laura is a researcher, she's an astrologist, you're an author, and I know you do lots of traveling about and different conferences on UFO disclosures and everything about what's going on with the ascension of the planet at the moment and the hijack of the ascension of the planet at the moment. Also a divine feminine way shower. So welcome.
Thank you
Welcome.
so much, Lynn. It is so wonderful to be here. I'm honored to be your first guest on your channel. And I just really enjoy getting to know you when we were in England together at the Shine seminars and then Avebury Henge. It just so happened that we were able to just be together doing grid work there, which you
Yeah.
very much led in the most beautiful and profound way. So it's great to be with you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And it was lovely how we just, yeah, we met at the Shine seminars and you did the keynote speech and I'd done a presentation the day before. And it just all sort of perfectly aligned, didn't it? That we ended up going to Avebury together and then doing that work, which wasn't planned at all. So just like the divine works and takes us in synchronicity. So yeah, we had a good laugh, didn't we? We had a good time, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good fun. So yeah, welcome for being here, and just thought I talk to you about what's going on the planet right now, where we're at with in regards to the ascension, and the ascension plan, and sort of yeah, lots of different questions, but I won't sort of overwhelm you. So I just want to ask you really, let's go back a little bit. So when did you feel you were different? Like you felt like you were a star seed, or you looked at things in a different way than your family. When did you realize that you were sort of a bit different?
Ah, pretty early on. It just seemed like anything that I had to share, it was very hard for people to process or digest or want to engage in conversation about it. And maybe my approach wasn't so great. I didn't really know how to speak any other language than the one that was kind of coming through. And I just sort of noticed that, okay, people don't word things like this or see things from the perspective that I do. But there were some common threads that I could share with my sister. My mom, not so much. And I really feel things had to skip a generation. So there's that starseed energy of just feeling, the connection to the galactics that I
Yeah,
really couldn't talk about. It's very much a wild child's imagination, right? But when it came to some of the rabbit holes, it wasn't anything that my mom or aunts and uncles were able to really dig into in their time. It just had to skip a generation. But they were very scholarly. They did a lot of research, but eh, I was always interrupted, not out of them being rude as much as it's just too much. Let's just not go there.
yeah,
They were
yeah,
very convinced that a lot of it was conspiracy. And I think now a lot of individuals, including them, now see the reality behind what some of us have been talking about for a while. As far as the starseed part, I was getting just overwhelming downloads. I noticed I was different in school, and it was only the places that I would attend, like summer camp
yeah,
or when I went to school in England, when I moved back when I was 12, where people
yeah,
weren't operating under so much programming or so much indoctrination that I felt, wow, we're all getting along so well. And I feel so
yeah,
connected to so many people. But you put
yeah,
me in American schools, and after a certain age, you could just tell people were just moving off to their cliques, getting really political. And I just never really resonated with it. I could see through it. So I
yeah,
guess that's how I can answer it. As far as the starseed energy, yeah, I was just a weird kid, and that's how I always sort of saw myself.
yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah.
then I was able to make sense out of it later, meeting other people that speak a similar language.
Yeah. We always feel like we're I don't know. For me, it was like I felt quite alone Um, that yeah, I just saw things other people didn't. Even though I've got a background which is a bit heavy, but I still remember at times that even in between those times, I knew that I was different. That as I say, I felt and saw things that other people couldn't see, and I couldn't understand why they couldn't see that.
Right.
So yeah, it's sort of like you just feel very different, don't you? Like you stand out like a sore thumb, but you don't know why. Um,
Totally.
yeah, because everybody else is conforming, and everybody else seems to be just in this, I don't know, bubble. But we were seeing through that really. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay. And I suppose coming from, you're the um, great-granddaughter of President Dwight Eisenhower.
Great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One
Uh,
great. Yeah.
yeah, 1953 to 1961. Yeah, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, yeah. So he was president then. So, I mean, being brought up from a presidential family, even though you're a couple of generations down, still would be that sort of I don't know. You walk the thin line, you play the game, and you don't step out of line, I suppose, with that sort of energy of being at that, you know.
I would say I didn't step out of line. I just had a rebellious spirit. Oh, just
Yeah,
the wild child, the one that everybody worried about. It was easier to kind of go along with it while
yeah,
living this double life of digging deep into
yeah,
research and honoring my own perception and way of seeing things, because we talked about the programming that actually, even though I mentioned later in life clicks and people getting all political, I mean, it started really young. Just, people watching TV and just wanting the Barbie or wanting the strawberry shortcake,
yeah,
or and I was
yeah,
kind of a tomboy, and fortunately there wasn't that gender confusion overlay or projection back then.
yes,
So,
yeah,
but yeah, I would say my childhood wasn't that abnormal. So it's great-granddaughter. So my mom, and
yeah,
aunts and uncle were
yeah,
grandchildren, so they had a completely different upbringing. My
yeah,
mom, and my father, they met while my granddad, Ike's son, was the ambassador to Belgium, and he was an author. He spent a lot of time with Eisenhower. That's John S.D. Eisenhower. So my mom was raised very close to Ike. That
yeah,
see a lot of pictures of him in his administration and her as a teenager. So it wasn't like she was a small child. And they had a close connection, but it wasn't like he was like, okay, Val Thor, let's talk about underground bases and Dulce and all this other stuff going on. That was kind of my agreement with him to connect in on that and to come in with sort of a agreement about exposing a lot of this stuff. And it also
yeah,
connects to the Starseed thing,
yeah,
and that's a whole nother thing. But I was not really in line with uh what it might look like to be a part of a presidential family. I mean, my mom took us to thrift stores. We lived in a pretty rundown duplex in Rochester, New York, after my mom divorced my father when I was 4. And family members would help out here and there, but it wasn't like trust fund family. It wasn't
no,
like, major inheritance. So my mom had to work real hard.
no,
And we, grew up going to thrift stores. My mom got remarried. We lived a little bit more comfortably. But yeah, I went to a pretty rundown school in upstate New York for kindergarten. And then elementary school. I mean, we weren't raised with Secret Service men like she was.
no,
She
yeah,
was married to a man, and he was my stepfather. And we just kind of grew up. I don't know what normal is because we all have our different upbringings, but it wouldn't be something that would stand out to where I would go to
mhm,
school and people would be like, "Oh, you're from a presidential family." Nobody knew.
no,
It wasn't
nobody
until
knew.
later in life, nobody in high school even knew. Only my close
No,
friends or my partners, because they would come over and they would meet my mom. I took
yeah,
her last. My mom made it my legal name after they got an annulment, my mom and my biological father. And I
yeah,
knew that I wanted to expose a lot of stuff about its administration, and I meditated on it. And he's like, yeah, go ahead and carry the name. You're part of this family. So, yeah, I was a wild child partier. I snuck out all the time, got the worst grades, worst attendance in high school. So, it wasn't like I was following the rules or making it all look good. So my mom was a little horrified, and I felt kind of bad about that. But she wasn't around that much, and now we have a closer relationship. but it was something that nobody knew about unless you were close to me, unless you were a close friend. And I didn't advertise it. I didn't make it a thing. I didn't really bring it up until I felt that I was standing strong in my mission in service to
Yeah.
humanity. And I knew how that role
Yeah.
I held, or my mission connected to him in a way that felt appropriate.
Yeah.
And just carrying the name for the sake of it. I just wanted to grow into it and understand what I kind of signed up for.
Yeah.
And I wanted to
Absolutely.
protect my mom too, so she wouldn't be embarrassed. So it was easier to
Yeah.
not bring it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get you. I get you. I get you. So, um, if we go to I'm just this is really fascinating because Valiant Thor keeps dropping in my head, and I know that he was Venusian or allegedly Venusian, right? And I sort of work a lot with Venusian energies and frequencies and have done for a long time. So it's fascinating to sort of look at that. Well, it's not a myth. Well, is it a myth or is it not a myth? Whatever, but of that story of the fact that he came, he appeared and then suddenly was um, talking to the president and talking to Dwight Eisenhower about I don't know where the world was going. You feel what he was warning him? Do you think more of a warning?
His speech, his final speech.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I really feel Val Thor had a lot to do with his final speech. The warning about the military industrial complex, the rise of misplaced power, the need for a knowledgeable and aware citizenry. Uh, Val really helped him to understand what took place after the Second World War. We hear about Germany surrendering, but we didn't really win the war.
no, we didn't.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, and I'm not surprised that you work with the Venusian energy and that frequency because your mission is so incredibly powerful and what you've been able to overcome and break down and the kind of grid work that you do and the control matrix that you're collapsing with, the energy that you hold and the um, foundational light and mission that you came in with that I got to learn about hanging out with you. So and I really felt just that incredible transmission and immediate response that the land held to your energy and just everything that you told me about. Um, so it's interesting that you bring it up, but not surprising because clearly you work together or you're part of a similar soul family or a major
yeah,
connection. Obviously,
yeah,
in more articulation than I do, but um, and that's the thing, because Val worked very close with the Earth, unlike other ET groups.
yeah,
When we hear about them, they're not necessarily out to help us. There's a lot of competing ET agendas that appear to be benevolent, that are very tied up in their own agenda, and what seem to be benevolent beings sometimes aren't at all. So Val went
yeah,
rogue. Um, and it's not a part of any federation from what I've come to understand. And him
yeah,
going rogue meant that he could directly advise and he wasn't a part of any federation, so he wasn't going against any agreements because what I
yeah,
heard, the deep state want to control the human part of it, the Nazis, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, and the federations were sort of stepping back, but there were deals being made starting in the 30s
yeah,
that involved the colonization of Mars and the moon or putting bases there
yeah.
because we had Warp 1 in the 30s. So Val seemed to come in and assist Eisenhower in understanding this infiltration that had taken place. And Eisenhower was aware of it because an unconditional surrender agreement took place in 1952 under Truman that everybody had to comply with it, or there was a major threat of assassination or death, or so he had to kind of go along with it. But Val helped him to set up some things covertly, like the White Hats, the Earth Alliance, and what's called Ike's Force. And so,
Wow.
um, from what I heard from the senior advisor to the Earth Alliance and somebody that served a 20 and back with Dark Fleet that ended up in a way being de-weaponized from that, um,
Yeah,
and being granted immunities and not signing a non-disclosure agreement was able to expose that Val Thor helped Eisenhower appeal to the Guardians. And so Guardian souls ended up coming in. And that's where I feel if you resonate, that's where you have a connection with Val because
oh,
Val had a
yep,
connection guardian groups, right? And your
yeah,
knowledge
yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah,
guardian energy and
yeah,
the grid
yeah,
work that comes so naturally. Um, Val Thor had a direct connection with that, right? So
yeah,
the
yeah,
guardian
yeah,
souls coming in were a part of
yeah,
what Eisenhower and others appealed to. And it wasn't just Eisenhower, of course, it was all souls on Earth that are like, okay, we need to connect with our higher self. We need to dismantle this dark weaponry.
yeah,
But some aren't able to articulate that. They're still unconscious to it, but some come in with
yeah,
that clear knowingness about their mission.
yeah,
And
mm,
so I feel, a path like yours walked into that inversion to collapse it from the inside and to, really just move a ton of energy and bring light to it. And to me, that's a very big part of the Guardian Soul mission that had a strong affinity with Val and
yeah,
might have worked
yeah,
along with Val, maybe taking on some Venusian lives. So we might know each other from a bit of that. I'm still coming
yeah,
to terms with what exactly where
yeah,
I was at, but
yeah, yeah,
so so they work very closely together.
yeah,
And Val and another group actually told Ike that a migration of souls would be coming in that were
yeah,
connected with the Guardians, and we would all find each other and we would begin to bring out um a lot of the truth. And it's not
yeah,
just that, it's the frequency that we hold. It's the awareness that we hold that can help activate others to come out of that slumber and that trance to begin to do that work within, to begin to switch on the dormant DNA.
absolutely.
So, and
Yeah,
Eisenhower
yeah,
was really relieved because it's like, the governments aren't going to do this.
yeah,
It's up to the people. And
yeah,
there's a lot of messages coming through him about it being us that's going to take down the deep state, not
yeah.
the government.
Absolutely. And also I think that crucial time when he came then was just before we were going into the real hijack of the presidency. Where we've got deep state and we and beyond that, all of the stuff behind that off planet that is controlling all of the US presidents,
Exactly.
and the infiltration of that presidency as it went on. And in my background, I'm not going to go into much, but I have knowledge of some US presidents. I've been in the company in not in pleasant circumstances, shall we put it that way. Uh, so you can see how maybe he came just at that time to try and set something up before we went on that deep dive. And another thing that's coming in as you were talking is I feel like he was a time traveler. So he's sort of like, coming in, of course, from the future, coming in from the future and backwards and warning that this period is really dangerous and warning us about that. So
Yeah.
that's fascinating and setting up or starting to set up the white hats. I mean, that's all fascinating, really, because no matter what people think about now, and I've got an opinion, and it's only an opinion, but it comes from my intuition and a deep, I don't, for me, a deep knowing that our current president, I won't say the name, but our current president, well, he's your current president. He's not my current, but I said our current president, didn't I? But the current president, I feel is a wrecking ball. He's a great big wrecking ball, and he's here to wreck and knock the institution out, and try and show it for what it is. Never mind who he is. Um, uh, you know, I just think that there is so much signs of at least some shift in a positive way happening with what he's doing. We could do it with a duplicate of him over in the UK, thanks very much, right now, with what's going on with us. And I love that the fact he trolls our prime minister and stuff. It's amazing. We love it. Most people love it. So yeah, and the fact that the white hats are in much more, there's got an army of them now, an absolute army of them. So it's yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, no,
And
it is. It is.
it's fascinating. And all of those things that were going on, from the end of the Second World War, when, what was it, Operation Paperclip, where they took all the Nazi scientists over, yeah, and then brought them to America, and all of the specialists in MK Ultra that had done lots of experiments in the concentration camps. But then mind
Exactly.
control has been around forever.
Yeah.
It's not new, you know?
No.
It's not
Yeah.
new. It was here in Atlantis,
Yeah.
you know,
And that's the thing.
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
And that's the thing.
Absolutely.
It's like eh, Eisenhower's been blamed for signing the Greada Treaty, but
Yeah,
that's all a cover to for the deep state to hide behind him, so that
yeah,
nobody realizes it's actually the three-letter organizations MJ12, and that
yeah,
1940 paperclip happened, Admiral Byrd's
yeah,
expedition try and take out the Nazis in Antarctica. 1952, that unconditional surrender agreement just solidified um that infiltration. The
yeah,
Nazi scientists, they were all whitewashed, with the Office of Strategic Studies. Truman
yeah,
didn't even realize that the names were being whitewashed. But when this unconditional surrender agreement took place years later,
yeah,
then all of a sudden, okay, we've surrendered.
yeah,
That infiltration has already taken hold. He realized,
yeah,
um, and I don't know exactly what he realized as much as I'm closer to Ike, of course. So I don't want to speak for what
yeah,
Trump or excuse me, what Truman understood or didn't understand.
yeah,
But at
yeah,
that point, it was acknowledged that there was a surrender agreement signed. And it
yeah,
was a surrender instrument. So yes, Project Paperclip had already taken place. We're talking Montauk. We're talking all those MK Ultra
yeah,
programs. We're talking geoengineering, more indoctrination, this
yeah,
wokeism, this agenda that everybody's confusing for, this progressive land of the free and home of the brave without realizing, you know, the depth of infiltration that's taken place. And
yeah,
people are waking up with the different false flags and psyops that have taken place over time, and the fact that there's these storms that don't seem natural, but it's a very slow awakening process. So yes, I mean, after 1947, that really showed, okay, that infiltration had begun. 1952, it got solidified. So Val Thor, like you said, came in during that window, and presidents ever since Kennedy, who was assassinated for trying
yes,
to disclose this stuff, that was a part of the unconditional surrender instrument, that would happen. So he took a big risk there. Eisenhower mostly worked covertly and could only say it upon leaving in his final speech to give us those clues. So after, Kennedy, most of the presidents have been groomed by three-letter organizations, have
yeah,
been very, very dark, which you experienced firsthand. And now we're seeing, this anomaly in the T guy. But I see it as a wrecking ball, but there's still some questionable things. Like he just had a meeting with Bill Gates and Zuckerberg. Is that all optics? Is that all for public relations? I
yeah,
mean, I think he
yeah,
has to implode it from the inside, but one of the most important things is the things that he says to awaken the people, because the people have to stand up and not expect him to do it all. And that's what I feel, um, you know, people that are really working the energy, like yourself and, others that are aware, that are constantly doing, the greater work. I feel like it's a team down here, and that the government structure is going to collapse the more we stand up, and then they're going to side with us. But as long as we're under the deep state spell and we keep thinking that, um, you know, that all these, events are real, and we don't see the engineered aspects of it all, then
yeah,
we're consenting and complying to something that he's trying to help us to see through, but his
absolutely.
hands are a bit tied until we step up. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And God knows what goes on behind closed doors at the White
I don't.
House. Who
Oh, I
knows?
know.
Who knows what the hell's going on, really? We don't know, do we? But
Oh, not at
um
all. I mean, we can only really see clues.
yeah,
I asked Dan Cooper a lot, what we're seeing and what people are assuming isn't exactly what it is. He doesn't have all the answers either. The
yeah,
best thing we can do is just throw it all out there, have a discussion about it. I'm very limited in what I know. I'll come up with like some thoughts and ideas, but it's just trying to sort it out, and read the signs or see the clues,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I know that the major planetary inversions that we've got still running, which when they got hold of the schematics of the 12 base tree of life, the Cathara grid, through the Emerald Cloister CDT plates, when they originally got hold of, I don't know, was it plate 1 and 2? I can't remember now. Uh, and then they took those schematics and loaded them up, and then with a blueprint, you can change a blueprint. Once you know what the blueprint looks like and how it works, you can then reverse it, can't you? And take it the other way, which what they did. But I know for sure that major inversions have collapsed recently, big ones, which are sort of like tinkering on the edge. Like they've gone all wobbly. They're all wobbly because they can't maintain, I don't know, balance hemostasis with the giant, I suppose, blueprint of what they've got in place to hold us as a quarantine planet, and to, have control of major stargates and to have the wormholes, which are, reverse portals and all of that. And these major inversions that have collapsed have just made them extremely wobbly, so that they're hanging on for dear life. But it's only a matter of time before they collapse.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Which is
right.
a positive, it's we got this. We got this.
Absolutely. I mean, we're a replica of that because of our 12-strand DNA, the 12-tree grid.
Yeah.
So the overlays on
Right.
the planetary grid network to put it in reversals is the same reversal that we've been experiencing with, the Niberian diodic crystal grid overlay,
Yeah.
the Nephilim reversal grid overlay. And what it
Yeah.
does is it shortens our lifespan, it scrambles our
Yeah.
DNA code, it
Yeah.
siphons and harvests our energy, and it's all
Yeah.
about that dark mother reversal, the mothers of
Yeah.
darkness, which you play such a huge role in collapsing. And I really feel like when we went to Avebury, being on the Michael Mary lines in that particular location, and you saw the energy shift. I mean, when you're not holding that inversion, when you're not under that mind control and indoctrination as humans, all of us, we are a part of that architecture weakening. And
Yeah.
that's why every single one of us counts. So yes, the guardian souls that do the grid work consciously have been collapsing that. You've been doing this
Yeah.
for a long time. And
Yeah.
team people connected to Lisa Renee's group, the Guardian mission. And yeah, and the fact that this is this window period of the 13th tone and the 13th sign coming and being able to anchor in, the
Yeah.
whole system was rigged to keep that out. And that's the
Absolutely.
element of alchemy and the ether that was put in reversals. That was the main
Yeah.
element that was put in reversals, symbolic of the pentagram going inverted upside down,
Yeah.
that is so symbolic in Satanism. So that being reversed, and the brave souls that have come in to correct that inversion, um, is really huge. And when you told me your story, I was just like, whoa, what
There's,
you've been able to
there's lots of us. There's lots of us that I'm sure have come in and attempted that as well. God bless them. And
really
hopefully
helping
they've made
them
it.
to,
Yeah.
I mean, that has such a ripple effect on all those that are having a hard time getting to the
Yeah.
place that you got. So it's really
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, with the inversions, then you've got the, as you were just saying, the sort of the desecration of the original um, harmonic universe time matrix around us. So we've got displaced constellations. As you're saying, we've got everything slightly off. It's not quite where it should be, especially with the moon, that artificial satellite dragged in to our into our time matrix. Then suddenly everything is distorted. It's not in its true sort of place, which of course reverberates, it's part of the desecration of our blueprint as well, which you were just saying, our divine spiritual blueprint, which has been desecrated, and the divine spiritual blueprint of the universe and universe's blueprint desecrated at the same time. So yeah, it's a thing, what we do for ourselves to correct that blueprint, we correct for Gaia too, don't we? We correct for
Yeah,
the planet. We help
absolutely.
her to correct. Yeah,
Because we keep those inversions alive when we're indoctrinated, when we're under the spell, when we're buying into the psyops and false flags, when we're in total denial, when we're operating on autopilot and we're not accessing what's unconscious or digging deep into the root trauma that so many
yeah,
people are masking and
yeah,
trying to appease without understanding where it really comes from. I mean, there's our own childhood, there's past lives, but what about our galactic history? What's
yeah,
happened to the planet? I do presentations about the weaponized zodiac and
yeah,
how the overlays have infiltrated every pillar of society that shows up in our charts. The shadow
yeah,
side of the signs and
yes,
planetary aspects that they will hijack through a psyops that matches the shadow expression of these different planetary alignments that we experience as
Yeah,
transit.
interesting.
And then it hooks people in. And instead of going
Yeah,
to the growth period that this planetary alignment represents, they're all caught up in, um, like we saw in 2019, 2020 with the whole,
yes.
and
Yeah,
that was a total
yeah,
hijack of a massive growth period that hooked people in, threw them into survival, fear of death, fear of each other, fear of breath. And
yeah,
that was calculated. And so
yeah,
when I do astro charts, I sort of see the overlay, the true blueprint underneath, and how these aspects can help bring us home if we can understand the wisdom and we can get closer to ourselves in the face of adversity versus giving our power away constantly to the system that preys upon our amnesia and exploits us for money. Not everybody's like that. It's not all bad, but it's definitely about having discernment with who you're going to work with, which doctor, what teacher, you're really gaining from, instead of one that's just passing on gender confusion and regurgitation of what is in the textbook without being able to raise your hand and challenge it. We got to give the voices back to our children to guide the future.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And well, it's our children that will benefit, and our great grandchildren, which will benefit from what we're doing now to help the planet. And all the brave souls here, light workers, star seeds, wayshowers, whatever they want to call themselves, but are standing up and being seen, aren't they? And standing up and speaking and sharing their authenticity and truth and seeing right through the lie, and then actually sort of paving a way for others to follow. They're walking their golden pathways, so that others can see that, and then they go for it and follow behind.
Exactly.
Then that's the hardest thing, isn't it? Don't you think? Like the path of a way shower, is that you've got to go and live that. You've got to embody what that felt like to go through that experience or whatever it is, because we all go through experiences in life. And then hopefully, you heal, transmute, and alchemize it, don't you? And then you then sort of turn around and say to everybody else with your own true embodied authenticity and what you feel you want to give to the world back after that, you turn around and say, come this way. If you resonate with me, come this way because I'll show you a way out of this. I'll
Totally.
show you what I did to get there,
Yep. And I think,
which,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, wherever we're positioned in our mission, whatever our calling is, that's the result, right? So,
yeah,
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 and that's kind of what my book is about, awakening the truth frequency. It's not what my truth is, but it's what's your authentic truth. um
yeah,
we all have a deep, calling, and just being true to ourselves is the real calling, because you're listening to your intuition, you're listening to your higher self,
absolutely.
you're recognizing the
Yeah,
events that come along on your path that are helping you to get
yeah,
to know yourself better, even if it's disease, even if it's
yeah,
injury, even if it's some kind of adversity. What can it help you to recover and reclaim within yourself? Yes,
yeah.
there's important assistance out there, but when does it begin to sabotage your intuition, or block you from being able to really hear yourself? Can you stand up and not worry about what other people think, and stand strong in your sovereignty and call out when something doesn't feel right? Like people escaping cults, when does it not feel right? When are you feel like you're not able to leave? When does somebody push you into a state of discomfort or invasion?
Yeah,
Can you call it out? Can you stand up? So, and I think, yeah, we are coming from childhoods of being misunderstood, projected upon, kind of laughed at, uh, or just, maybe holding stigmas. So I sometimes feel that just being a way shower is, don't buy into those stigmas. Just keep being brave. Keep standing in your truth. Um, you know, don't worry
yeah,
about who doesn't get it, because you
yeah,
will find your people. You will find your soul family.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, it's sort of like getting a divorce from a narcissist or an abuser. You got to trust that you deserve true love. You got to trust your path. That when you cut the cords with things that are
Yeah,
dark and things that
yeah,
are harming, things that make you feel
yeah,
less than, you're
yeah,
on the path of something
yeah,
much deeper and more profound. And we
yeah.
just got to help people to overcome the ego wounds and just the way, society and family and friends can make you feel, for standing strong. But when you let your light shine, they'll turn around and be like, wow, they might
Absolutely.
you
Yeah, Yeah.
Forgiveness is important because they're only operating from a programming, and they're in fear of what you're capable of dismantling in them. But if you let them get to you and you sink down to that level, you know, then you're holding their ignorance in your space. You got to cut the cords and just go be you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course your DNA, you know, being a way shower or speaking in your truth, being authentic activates your 12-strand DNA anyway. The one thing that will hold back DNA activation is actually shrinking in the corner and hiding, even though it depends on the trauma you've been through. And I understand that because I've had to navigate that. So I understand what that's like. But it's almost like you've got to, almost like I could swear, like, fuck it, you know, like I've got to just jump. I've got to jump and just go in the deep end. And and you always come up, you know, and then you're swimming and you're away. And definitely being true and authentic is the quickest way to embodiment.
Absolutely.
Quickest way. Absolutely. And you know, as soon as you do that, um, all of you just turns on, and that is that light that shines, isn't it? You become a bright light, and that is your DNA activating you know, your spiritual DNA activating, and you becoming the beacon and the lighthouse that we need for all of the people on this planet. All of us that have got that capability have to go and be those beacons and lighthouses for the others, even just to, because of the darkness, sort of that it's hazy and foggy and they can't see their way, you know, out of this pea soup that we're in right now. Like, which way is the right way to go? The government's telling me to go this way, but I don't feel it's right. And you know, so they need those beacons and lighthouses, don't they? Say that, hey, hey, we're over here, come this way,
Exactly.
you
I
know.
know it's very scary, for kids going through school, because if you don't pay attention or you have a hard time focusing, oh, you got ADD, here's the pharmaceutical, here's the drug, oh, you're depressed, oh, you're angry, here's a way to silence that. When that holds keys to being able to really hear ourselves and
Yeah,
understanding that's an appropriate reaction to a lot of the BS in this world. We
yeah,
want to pay attention to it, but we need a healthy outlet to express it, to find, a way to
yeah,
write about it, to, create art, to create poetry, and I know there's a lot of people that are very creative, but that, you got to find healthy outlets. You don't want to have it be misunderstood or managed by somebody that's not going to understand, that wants to silence it.
yeah,
And that's the thing.
yeah,
When we're listening to our higher self and our intuition, we might move out a lot of energy to create that clear connection, or to establish that clear connection. But, get in nature and find, an outlet or somebody that you really can talk to. And that's what we're here for, right? And that wasn't
yeah,
around, maybe when we were growing up as much. And then when you have that direct connect, that conversation, that Mercury energy that rules the sign of Virgo, is the way the mind talks to the body. And just like you're saying, if the mind is getting information from the higher self, the mind is talking to the body light codes, and it's integrating light into the nervous system, into the body. If the mind is talking to the body programmings and lies and self-hatred, or
yeah,
anything that society throws at you, it's talking to the body heavy density energy blocks
yeah,
and distortion that
yeah,
keeps you sick. But it's also the key to getting well, is to notice that and change the dialogue and reconnect. And that's what people like you help people to get back in touch with. And that's what I strive to do when I do, energy, or when I look at charts. So, and there's more of us now.
yeah,
So, it's very helpful working with parents and being like, I'm happy to talk to your child. Um,
yeah,
I'm happy to help refer them to people who I know will really see them for who they are. Because we didn't have
yeah.
guidance counselors that said, "Hey,
Wow.
you're a star seed and you're on a star seed mission."
No.
No, it's like, no, yeah, you're in detention because you can't sit still in class and you want to just climb a
Yeah,
tree.
yeah, yeah. I mean, in the old tribal times, you know, we're talking Lemuria and all of the indigenous tribes. You know, children, when they were coming in, they were celebrated before they arrived, weren't they? And they were sung in. You know, there would be toning and sound and beautiful drumming as the lady, you know, as the woman was in labor. And then they would be born in such bliss, wouldn't they? Just amazing bliss. And immediately, or before that, the elders of the tribe knew what that child was good at. They'd been given the downloads. They knew what that child was talented in and their gifts and abilities. And also there would be remembrance because we've been brainwashed, haven't we? We've had that remembrance taken away from us of who we are when we incarnate. When those children really had that access to who they were.
Totally.
So, I mean, then they stood a chance. They already knew what they were going to be. They were allowed to, if they loved, I don't know, swimming or the water, they would be allowed to spend a lot of time doing that because that evidently might be where they were going to, I don't know, become fishermen or go off and build a boat and go somewhere or whatever. They'd just let them do it, wouldn't they? Yeah.
I
And
love it. So good.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when go on, go on. Yeah,
Oh, no,
yeah,
I was just gonna say, and yeah, kids spend all these years in school
yeah,
having to take all these classes and getting Fs if they
yeah,
take calculus, when that's not their calling at all. They'll never use it. And then they carry that stigma of, oh yeah, well, I failed this, I got terrible grades, I didn't get a 4.0.
yeah,
Well, it's amazing that the people that can and that are that versatile,
yeah,
and
yeah,
but the ones that are really on point with, this is my niche, this is what I'm here to do,
yeah,
they kind of get lost in the mix of
yeah,
it all. The other ones are just really trying to perform because they're in that reward punishment system, and they will go that extra mile to learn everything, and all the power to them, because that's brilliant and wonderful. But what about the ones, I mean, I was like this, I was a selective learner. I went off and studied my own stuff and I did fine. But when I was
yeah.
told to learn something and regurgitate it, I never pulled the grades. I didn't have the interest, I
No.
didn't have the passion, and I was very misunderstood
Mm.
because of that. But anyway, sorry. I just wanted to add that. But I love that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And we can do that. I mean, way back, I don't do this anymore, but way back, it's probably about 9 years ago, I trained a bunch of girls to be able to tap into children's higher selves. So they would tap into a child, even at 2 years old. Yeah, you can tap in. And their I am presence, you're not reading their field, you're not violating their field or anything like that. What you're doing is you're tapping in through their eyes to their I am presence, and then you're saying, what are you good at? What do you want your parents to know about you? And you'd spiel off a whole statement of, I love the stars. Please tell my parents to put a picture of the galaxies in my room. Can you tell my parents, can they buy me a telescope by about age 5? All that sort of stuff. And this was being reeled off from a 2-year-old, that you would get. And then you'd send it to the parents and they'd just be amazed, like, what? And then to then get an email 3 years later and they say, oh my God, they're exactly as you said. They are obsessed with the stars.
Oh,
Like, yes,
oh,
like
so
that's,
much. Because parents
it's
stress so
amazing.
much when they're trying to figure out their kid, or the kid's developing weird symptoms, or,
Yeah,
or just feel silence, and but you think
yeah,
you need to
yeah,
control your child,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
have to listen instead of stepping back and being like, I'm going to encourage you and guide you to be the best you came here to be. But you
yeah.
don't see
And
that all the time.
yeah.
It's not
And
how
and
people.
if you want to go and do this, go and do it. I encourage it. Go and try it. You never know. I, just a tiny little story. I once was at one of these events, like a sort of psychic fair type thing, and there was a woman next to me, and she was playing the violin. I don't know why she had the violin with her. It's really weird, but I went up to talk to her because she had such beautiful playing. And she told me that she had experienced a young lad coming to her over and over again, trying to take the violin off her to play it. And he was about 5 years old. And his parents come running up and said, I'm so sorry he's bothering you. And she said, it's okay. And they said, he's obsessed with violins. He just keeps wanting to go to violin lessons. But we've said to him, no, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. You're not having a violin. You're not. And do you know what? She gave him the violin and said, play. And he picked it up and he put it right where he should. He got, whatever it is that you use to, the strum thing or whatever. And he almost played. And his parents were shocked. And she turned around and said, he's a natural. He needs to go to violin lessons. He's going to be amazing. He's amazing. There you go. You see, the child knew. The child knew. He knew he was amazing at the violin and he was trying to follow his passion, his mission, not his mission, but his passion, his purpose. you know, he might end up playing in an orchestra or being amazing at it. And they were trying to put him off. No, no, you can't. No, no, no. What 5-year-old gets obsessed with violins if they're not being called to? You see, that's the story. So anybody out there that you've got children and they are begging you to let them try something, for goodness sake, let them try it. You know,
Exactly.
let them
No,
try
and
it.
it's
Yeah.
such a precious time too. You know, and
Yeah.
like kids that are like playing with frogs or down by the pond or in nature all the time, they might be just the greatest environmentalists or people that understand biology and just
Yeah.
or help restore the population of something that's gone extinct. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just so important to just let your child show you what they love and guide them accordingly.
Yeah.
Trying to fit into a box,
Absolutely.
trying to fit into a curriculum.
Yeah.
You know, this is why homeschooling is so important. And, you know, and I really see that as everything crumbles, as the control matrix crumbles,
Yeah.
you know, we're instead of hospitals, we'll see healing centers. Instead of prisons, we'll see more rehabilitation centers to
Absolutely.
see what is operating behind that person. Is it mind
Yeah.
control? Is there an implant? Is there
Yeah.
any trauma-based mind, you know, is
Yeah.
there any deeper reason? Is there also with some characters, have they been blackmailed? Have they been drugged and filmed and they don't want to come clean? I mean, can we
Yeah.
have a deeper way to view these institutions in our life? Can schools turn into um, educational centers where it's more about the parents running it instead of the teachers enforcing and acting like they own your children instead of you? We all have to take a
Absolutely.
stand and
Yeah. We
say
do.
enough already. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Because
So
education now is just programming. You know, it's been completely hijacked like everything else. It's been hijacked, and there's agendas running in every shape and form. And so, of course, there's agendas running in education. And if you want to knock out the spirit in your child and their true gifts and abilities, go ahead and put them into school where they don't want to go. And you'll see a depressed child, won't you? You'll see a really, or a child that starts to play up and gets very, very naughty. You know, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason. So there you go. So we got on to that, didn't we, a bit?
no, I
But
love
that's
that. I
good.
mean, I think that's
Yeah.
everything. This thing is, it's accessible to people. Sometimes people get so overwhelmed with bigger picture stuff and
Yeah.
you know trying to understand the languaging of the grids, which but it's all
Yeah.
connected because the thing is the reversal grids stay alive when the pillars of society are streaming this level of you know control,
Yeah.
domination, and indoctrination.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps
Yeah.
the reversals alive. When we begin to break that down, it's because we're standing in our sovereignty. Like you said, when we do that, that
Yeah.
plays a big role in how
Yeah.
this dark
Yeah.
architecture gets dismantled. It's also the
Yeah.
override frequency that offsets 5G, offsets geoengineering, because we're elemental. A mind controlled humanity and a geoengineered nature are the two go hand in hand, same with the reversal grids. So if we take a stand and we refuse these controls and we team up and we team together, parents and teachers and doctors and good cops, you know, people that have been compromised by the industries that they devoted themselves to because there are dirty players in there that they're maybe afraid to
Yeah.
call out. The more we
Yeah.
come together, the more we meet together and really determine who's ready to collapse this.
Yeah.
The ones that aren't will stand out even more and they should be
Yeah.
fired. You know, so it's going to
Yeah.
take all of us. And I know it looks like a lot of work ahead, but it's about following your passion, following your truth, because when that's suppressed, like you said, depression, illness, cancers, and we see it in our youth, and we don't want to raise our children on pharmaceuticals. We don't want to raise them shoving that stuff back down. We want to give it a voice, not a projection of, oh yeah, you're angry or you should you
Yeah.
know that's called depression. It's called no. Where is that soul longing? Because that is what depression really is. You're longing for something you don't think you're ever going to have. And let's
Absolutely.
deep into it. It's like so real teachers, real counselors, healing centers, healing
Yeah.
tools, modalities. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just so
Yeah.
excited. I just am so happy to talk to you because I think these conversations are so incredibly important.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, also we've got like the society, or we've got, say, humanity in the dream spell, we call it, don't we? The dream spell or trance, you know, that they're in this trance. But you'd be surprised. I think there is more people awake than we really realize who are not actually like able to express that they know more than they can say. I think they're still at that stage where they can't express it or articulate it, or are afraid to let others know that they see through the illusion, but they can't quite come out with it yet. So I'd be surprised if we haven't got more souls like awake now, that we'd be shocked at the figures or the percentage if we found out. I think and I feel that in my heart that there's a huge tipping point coming, and we've got it. We've got it. It's
Oh,
just
we
this,
absolutely do.
it's just this timeline thing, isn't it? It's this timeline bifurcation where we're running, we're like buffeting, aren't we? The two timelines running side by side, and we've got that downward spiral timeline, and then the dystopian future type shit. And then we've got excuse my language, and then we've got the Christic spiral timeline, of course, going up to source, which is ever evolving, and fluid and beautiful and gorgeous. And it's just sort of like hoping that as many people as we can sort of get to actually sort of put their foot, over and state their truth and get over onto that Christic spiral timeline. That's what I pray. But we don't really know what's going to happen, do we? We don't really know. How do we know how many are actually going to make it last minute? There might be more than we think.
I think you're
You know,
absolutely right. Just, going into Ubers or just running into people that maybe on the surface, yeah, they're still working their matrix job or career. And I'm not judging based on,
no, no,
just who they
absolutely
appear
not.
on the outside, but just, you just wouldn't know until you have a conversation. And they're
With
like,
them.
wow, yeah, they're either resonating or,
Yeah,
yeah, I started to look into that, or it's just that one next step.
yeah,
Uh, and I think so many people are all about it, that are going to come out of the woodworks.
yeah,
Uh, and this is why, speaking the language that they can understand is such an
yeah,
important thing on top of the kind of work that we already do, is having
yeah,
these kind of conversations, because somebody who's a mother, a parent, or in the industry that listens to this, are like, I can relate to that. Something doesn't feel
yeah,
right. Yes, we can explain the mechanics behind it. We can explain all
yeah,
this.
yeah, we
And
can.
that might be something they want to dive into later. But just the simple acknowledgement of, taking a stand, seeing other people in the community that are doing it, not making it
Yeah,
about the T guy, not making it about the Democrat or
no,
Republican, because
no,
that sometimes gets in the way because of what they got through the fake
yeah,
news. Right? They already
yeah,
have a bias. They don't even want to hear it. So
yeah,
um, I think there's just a way to really reach those people. And the numbers are way more than we can imagine. As long as like we can reach some of them without losing them with some of the things that we've
absolutely.
already been taught to
Yeah,
avoid. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. And
I
I
do
do
too.
think that the divine, at source, Mother, Father, God source, I think, as anything, you'd be surprised at what might happen last minute. That will be, you know, amazing when actually the time for that split comes.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know,
Our
it-
soul does not want to see us become assimilated into AI. I mean, the people are going to manifest their own crisis. Some people wait till it hits home, but some has already hit home. They still don't know
yeah,
what to do with it. They're afraid of their choices. So it's not about fearing what you might have complied to, what you might have allowed into your body. We have to understand the
absolutely.
law of alchemy, and that the minute the mind control and the dependency
Yeah,
bond is broken, your body is able to alchemize and break
yep,
down the dark weaponry from within and begin to release it, transmute it. Uh, and we simply just have to have that direct connect back, because the power of spirit and the miracle vibration is not a joke. And I don't think that there's anything doom and gloom like, oh, you made that choice. Well, all right, you're over here, you're bifurcating away. It's like,
yeah,
no, I feel
that's
like a
no,
bridge between the
absolutely.
two, but you have to free yourself of the dependency
Yeah,
bond to begin to bridge over to what you're talking about. That
yeah,
even those that have maybe allowed certain things in, it's not too
yeah.
late. It's never too late.
It can be reversed. The protocols are there now. There's plenty of people offering those protocols in the world right now. I do too. But there's plenty. There are plenty of people, I see it everywhere, where you can reverse all of the damage on an energetic level, a soul level, a physical level. You can reverse it. You can reverse it. And that And that is the beauty of it, that it can be, if you seek it, you'll find it. If you're looking for an answer or a solution, it will be made available to you if you ask. One of the biggest things I've always taught to people is if you don't ask, you don't get. So you've got to ask. If you're looking for an answer to something, instead of trying to manage on your own with it, or you just seem to be going around in circles, you ask the question, how can I heal this? I am presence, my heart, soul. How do I heal this? Give me a solution. Find me someone that can help me with this. Can you show me? Or how, whatever. How can I fix this? Something's, weighing me down and I don't know what to do about it. And I'm absolutely depressed and I'm upset and da da da. Well, ask this soul, don't you? I am presence, please. Give me some assistance. Show me how to fix this. And I'll do it. Not from a place of neediness or sort of playing the victim, but from a place of self-awareness and self-mastery. And that's
Totally.
what people have lost the ability to do because of the programming that has been spread across humanity, to rely on others or to rely on the news channel. That'll tell me all that's going on in the world, or to go to the doctor to get my 10 packs of pills, or to, you know what I'm saying, or to go to the church and get the priest to pray for me because he's the holy man, and I'm not allowed to talk to God. All of that sort of stuff.
Incredible. And it's passed down generation to generation. Then you got, that black sheep or that star seed that comes in. And it's not about hierarchy, it's about activation, restoration codes, just holding that sovereignty. And it can begin to break that down in those that are open-minded. Others, they fear it and they're just, cast you out and maybe ostracize you, or like, oh, I can't believe you're not going along with this program, while they're getting sicker and more powerless and more victimized by the very thing that they're defending. They're defending their captors or whatever that programming is. Not to say those priests or some of those doctors aren't great and some of those teachers,
Absolutely.
but they need to awaken too. They need to see the larger picture as well, to say, wow, I'm not going to go along with this. There's more to it. And
Yeah.
we know there's beautiful, well-intentioned people in those industries and those that are falling for it. But everything that you just said, because the mother is unconditional love, father is like guardian and
Yeah.
part of the electromagnetic energies, the planetary grid, the true divine blueprint of the Christos Sophia. It speaks to us. It's a part of nature. It's encoded in nature. And when we're in dialogue with it, magic, synchronicities, and flow happen to answer those, questions. When you're looking to an inverted matrix, you're not really getting answers. You're getting more hooked in to a
Yeah.
solution that's going to keep you dependent and
Uh,
keep you constantly seeking something outside yourself. And where's the end in sight? It's sort of
yeah.
like, when you're in a relationship with somebody that love bombs you and then binds you, or then neglects you, and then your self-worth suffers, and you're waiting for more validation from them, and you're almost addicted to the loop.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and it's learning to see through the illusion, just to see through the illusion, and to question the illusion, and then you see more and more and more. So yeah, I just think we're on a very positive movement forwards. There's so much happening, and I think it's such a positive time, and I'm very confident and very happy and positive for what's happening right now, and what's being cleared up and what's collapsing. And as I say, and if you spend too much time watching videos or doom and gloom videos about how dystopia is coming, and go and hide in the back of your house or in your bunker because all of this, just ignore it. Don't spend too much time watching all of that stuff. What we need is people bringing solutions.
That's right.
Where are,
That's right.
where are the solutions for now then? Well, we need community, we need tribe, we need to hang around with like-minded people. We need to be sort of making plans for maybe getting fresh food and being able to live on our own food production. I know that's hard. They are cutting down on that in many different countries. I know that. But sort of making those plans, but knowing that you find your tribe, your soul family, and building a community between you, even if you don't live together, but you just, there's a group of you all together, then that's all you need. you know, and you're in alignment with your hearts and source, some of the Father God and source, then you've got it made. You'll find
Really
your
is.
way. You'll
Right.
find your way through. There's nothing to worry about. You'll
It
find your
really
way.
is. Right, exactly, because they rely on consent. They don't have any power. They steal power. They steal energy. They steal dreams. They mimic.
Oh,
They require us to go along with it. That's how they siphon, harvest, and
yeah,
generate and engineer these
yeah,
artificial timelines. It
yeah,
it requires us. So
yeah,
people are, sometimes battling a system they don't realize, they're feeding, or they're
yeah,
voting for one side or the other.
yeah,
I mean, I know this administration's a bit different, but like you said, we are the creators. When we move our creative energy away from getting caught in that entanglement, we are writing the new script. We're writing the script. That is what we are
unstoppable.
waking up to.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we don't have to consent. We just need to put our heads together and embody the solution. And the thing is, we have to demand free energy. They're not going to give it to us unless we say we know it's there and we're demanding it. So the
yeah,
more we demand the change that we want to see and we embody it, the less they are feeding on us and the less we're consenting. And then Dan Cooper told me, he said they end up stepping back and letting us take over. And he even said that we the people are going to take down the deep state, because we're going to stop consenting and we're going to so exactly what you're saying. It's been validated by somebody who would know, who said that he actually said you and your friends know exactly what you're doing and you're going to be the ones doing it. So this conversation is speaking to that, and all of you out there, you're holding that as well within you, and it's going to be up to us. Again, it's
yeah. Sorry, I don't want to
oh yeah.
interrupt.
No, I'm just saying,
No, no,
breaking that
no.
dependency on not feeding it
Yeah,
and living our joy, living our truth, working together. They can try and stick their hooks in, but a parasite cannot plug into a host that is in wholeness and in balance. And that's where
no,
this Saturn matrix and this duality comes in, because people are very fractured. They still haven't done that inner work. So it's easy to plug in, but the minute you notice it, you can shield yourself, right? And begin to rebuild and recover.
yeah, absolutely. And we have, we've got this. They are more scared of us than we are of them. They are because when we're in creator mode, we are just like unstoppable. And there's so many coming into creator mode on this planet that, we're unstoppable. And as I say, but it's being willing to let go of what no longer serves you and not hang on to the inauthentic life or the inauthentic things you do and come into alignment and then you're off. So it's fab. So I mean we've been talking for all over an hour, so I don't want to make it too long because I know that people like after about an hour, but we can do another one, can't we?
I would
Because there's
love
so
that.
much more. There's so
I
much
feel so
more. I
uplifted.
had a list of things. So there's so much more.
I
So
would love.
absolutely. Um,
Yes. Thank you
yeah,
so much for having me. And oh my gosh,
yeah,
I just felt such a huge shift in my life. It was so huge meeting you and spending this time with you, and now doing this together means so much. And thank you for having me on your channel. And we'll definitely be in touch. Lots more to talk about. So
yeah, and that's great. And so people can reach you now. You're on Substack now, aren't you?
yeah.
You're on Substack.
Yep. And cosmicgaia.org, my website, all my social media channels and my Substacks on the homepage. And also
Yeah,
more information about my services and the
yeah,
subscription that I do meetings to kind of build
yeah,
community, have, open up these kind of conversations. And I'd love you to, I'll talk to you about that and some ideas I have if,
yeah.
yeah,
And you're on Facebook, and you've got a YouTube channel back up again, haven't you? I know you lost one, a big
yeah.
one. I remember
Yeah, I
that. I
don't
remember
use it
that
much,
at the
but
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I haven't posted much there since I
No.
got it. But yeah, definitely subscribe. I'm trying to build that channel. That's on my homepage of cosmicgaia.org
Yeah, and
too.
I'll put all the links. I'll put all the links under here anyway, so
Okay.
people can go and find that as well. And it's been a pleasure talking to you.
You as well.
Yeah, been a pleasure talking to you, and we had good fun, didn't we? We really did.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
we
can't wait to
yeah,
do more like that. Yes.
yeah. Okay, and so thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, lots of
Yes.
love
Thank you
and
for
take
having
care of
me.
yourself.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you so much. Lots of love to you too. Bye.
okay. Bye, bye.